People might have already joined, yeah.
The lighting's not great. There's not much we can do about that.
Right, let me get on.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We're not. There's no women on the thing, so there's no need to worry about it. I think, not Yehuda, Tony. I think I'll set that in.
I'm only taking by doing this.
Shidduch. Oh right. The lights. Is that the lights? Are both lights on one switch?
Yeah, I can do that light only.
Let's see what happens.
No.
Yeah. Come here. Won't make it. Doesn't make a difference. You can switch the light back on. There's people on here.
But how do you know? Because can you see I'm on? It's saying
It
they're not
says
letting
see
you in.
waiting room.
Yeah, am I on?
Shiur, who's Shiur?
Flo, he's got.
Why do we have to admit people?
Admit them all.
No, but why do you have to admit? Hello, everyone.
Hello?
Hello. How are you?
We're gonna have to.
Take your what's the call?
Yeah, what do you do? So where do I move now? People ask me here.
Right, the problem I've got is why are we admitting people?
It should be automatic. Admit. Go to the settings. We'll do that.
No, it doesn't make sense.
The host would like to unmute your microphone. So they mute it.
Shiur? You're gonna have to get that.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Sorry, come on. They can hear it, they'll know it's us because they can hear us through here. Shiur? Can't hear us. He's unmuted. Problem I've got with this is I don't like this because it's people in a meeting room. I wonder if we can
check the settings. Maybe.
What time is it? It's 57 people on. Give me 2 minutes.
You've got 2 minutes. A few snags the first night.
There is. I might have to delete that meeting and re-add it because for some stupid reason.
Well, you can't change the settings while it's on.
It doesn't allow me to change. I've just set a recurring meeting.
Do you work on computers the whole time?
That's his job.
I no longer do computers, but
Don't you? Now you do.
telecom, CCTV.
You've got your background is computers.
My background's in IT. Here we are. Enable. I did this meeting here.
After experience of computers, how do you feel about the internet?
Sorry?
Do you feel this? What's the word for it? This those were broken. This vehemence against the internet, or your?
No, I don't. Most. Well, let's see. I don't know why.
Who's okay?
Kravchinsky. Sully Kravchinsky. You know, he's not in partnership. He's been doing this for Yomi. Hi, Shiur. Is it not working? What's happening when you? Why can't you see it? Shiur? Why is it not working for you?
Ben?
Hi.
Hello. Why can't I see you?
If you don't have a microphone, you can't interact. You can only see and hear. At least you can hear.
You want to see me?
Hello.
Oh, there's Harvey.
No, I know. But I'm saying even when it goes off, you'll be able to hear.
We're getting Shiur.
Hello, Moshe.
You see, Shiur?
I can't see it.
We won't be able to see you because if you don't have a webcam, yeah, you'll be able to see us. We won't be able to hear or see you.
Harvey, you okay?
It doesn't matter. For now, it's better than nothing. Okay.
Who's this? Shiur?
You can only see me, I can't see you.
You can't see me?
But I can see like a little part of you, but the main thing I can see is me.
Can't see the rabbi.
Oh, right.
Actually, do quite a lot of them.
Yeah, okay,
But we're not ready anyway. We'll just tell people.
Why not ready? How much longer is going to?
Why this is doing this? I don't know why.
Moshe, you're a bit too close.
To who? I'm trying to unmute. I don't unmute.
It's funny to think that this. My grandmother around. What was this?
I wanna. Okay. Well, we'll have to give it a few. We're gonna
Take a couple minutes. Then.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to wait for everyone to come on. Where's everyone else?
Wait for Colorado 1 sec. Nearly there. Anybody else in the waiting room?
No.
Okay, they might hear it not live.
Which is fine. Why is David? Oh, mine's not. Why people want to unmute?
All right.
You know why Crafty's muted? David? David? No, why he's muted. I think they're muted themselves.
You can ask them.
I can't hear you.
I can hear.
Okay, I just start. Right, just
Can everyone hear?
Yeah.
I can hear.
Can you put a message on the chat, Tommy?
Daf Yomi in English, Arabic, Yehuda Steinberg, Daf Yud Dalad.
You are being transferred to standby for the start of the Shiur. You can start the Shiur, press 5.
yeah, let's start.
Just can you give me a couple of minutes? I think Aaron Cole's trying to call. Probably for Shine, aren't they? Oh, Mr. Bond. Hi. Yeah.
Should be working, hopefully it is. Hopefully you can hear
Right,
Yehuda Steinberg. He'll be going live shortly.
Right.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Who's that? Oh, that's David. Hello, good evening.
Evening.
Yeah. I'm gonna move
Why?
down there in a sec. Is that good? Everyone
Yes,
happy?
fine.
Right. Okay. Shy, you on?
Okay.
Hold on.
It keeps changing different participants of videos, so a setting has to change.
Who's that? Well, let me see. What's he writing? Keeps it into different participants. It keeps changing to different participants on video. The problem is I don't want.
Bear with us for a few minutes.
We're gonna. Yeah, this is gonna be some real snagging.
Bear with us a few minutes.
You on?
Where's the color?
What's the problem?
Nothing. I just make sure everyone's on. I don't.
Maybe
I
they
can
can
say, fine.
just text.
Yeah.
Maybe send out.
Yeah, but Stella said the same. Keep changing to different participants. Is that a setting I have to change?
The ring keeps changing to different participants.
Keep
going
changing
from
from
you
you to Harvey to Ben. I see different people on the whole time.
Because that's maybe
Actually-
because nobody's talking.
Because they're on. They're doing stuff. I don't know.
You don't just see Rabbi Yehuda. The whole is he not static as well?
No, they should have a window.
Now it is. Now it is. Before it was changing to different participants the whole time. Okay, whatever.
Yes,
Fine.
it's those are the people that are talking.
If you click on your screen where you see yourself, there's a second that says switch to active speaker, and if you click on that again, then if you see on the left, it should be switch to gallery view.
Where's that?
Somewhere on the screen, it should be switch to
Oh,
gallery.
Shire's there. Okay.
Shia.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hold
Okay,
on.
good.
I think I'm going to have to sit here for the first bit.
Yehuda? Yehuda?
Yeah.
Shai is on my computer. Make sure he doesn't get up to any mischief.
You better listen in, Rabbaran, for once in your life. Listen to a share.
I'm playing on my computer. I'm going for a mitzvah now.
Ah, only mitzvahs.
Okay.
Only.
We're holding. There's a Shani squad that you give on the base. Bottom of the page about. Is it working? Ah. That you give on the base about 7 lines from the bottom.
He's planning to log in, so we don't miss it.
And before, I just want to first of all say a very, very big thank you to
don't
Rachel
do credit.
Sinitsky
Don't do
and
credit,
Tolly
well.
Dakin for their efforts to make this possible, and for everybody who has joined in. Everybody who joins in makes a tremendous amount of chizuk for everybody else. It's interesting, we're going to be reading the Haftarah and Va'ol Hashem in Shabbos HaGodol, that it says over there, it's mitzvah, not the mitzvah.
Change that to the setting automatically.
That the Pasuk says, the Pasuk which is said by Malachi. Malachi was the last of all the Nevi'im, which we have his Nevuah written down. It's the last of the Treosim. It says, Oz nidbu yirei Hashem ishel ve'eyu, vayakshiv Hashem vayishma, Hashem listens. So when Hashem listens, vayikosev v'sefer zikoron, Hashem writes it down and gives tremendous reward. Yirei Hashem u'lechoish v'shemoi. And then Pasuk says, "V'chamalti aleichem and I have pit on you, kashiach b'disha p'nei b'doi." So the Pasuk says tremendous chal. And the Radak there asks the question: why does the Pasuk begin that famous Pasuk with Oz? Then Oz nidbu yirei Hashem. Then, what is the then referring to? And he answers, Oz is referring to when it's a difficult time. Anybody can speak about Divrei Torah when it's comfortable and pleasant. But Oz nidbu, at that time when it's very, very, very difficult and there's a lot of disturbances and a person's got a lot of distractions, then Oz nidbu yirei Hashem ishve'eyu, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets extremely, extremely happy and he rewards with tremendous, tremendous amount of schal. That's why the Pasuk is Oz then. So the Chochmah Musa from Sukkot Yisrael goes a great length. That there are certain times in history when speaking in Divrei Torah becomes much more challenging. And then he says what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is he writes down in the history of Klal Yisrael those people that held on and were loyal and devoted to him. It's a bit like in the Second World War. Everybody knows the famous statements by Churchill, never in the history of humanity was so much owed by so many to so few. In all the history, people don't notice different things that people are doing because then everybody's trying to do the right thing. But when there's turmoil, then it's easier, so to speak, to be considered as a changing force in history. And now it's really a time when it's quite difficult to be able to keep up with all the learning. So those who do, they'll be zecher to all the brachos which the Pasuk will read in Mitzvah Shem Shabbos HaGodol. I don't know if we'll be reading it in shul together or separately on Yerushalayim, wherever it is. But Oz nidbu yirei Hashem, Oz then. Oh. We're doing Yud Gimel Amud Beis, the bottom of the page, which actually happens to be Friday's daf. And we're going to start now a sugya, which is a challenging sugya. A number of people told me, just wait until your Shiur get to the sugya of Shmoneh Esrei Gezeiros, and then you'll suddenly find that you've got nobody left in your Shiur. So I'm going to try to prove them wrong. Because this is now comes to Tum of the Tower. Whenever we come to Tum of the Tower, people always get very put off. So we're discussing now for next 3-4 dafim. I mean, obviously the Gemara always goes off in tangents. We're going to discuss the 18 different gezeiros which they made on that time when they went to visit Hananiah ben Chizkiah in his loft. He was there to study Yecheskel, to explain Yecheskel, how the Yecheskel is not a steerer to the Torah. But while they were there, one day, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel were in the room, and there were more people from Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Ram Pirish HaMishnah says that Beis Hillel couldn't get more people of their yeshiva, so to speak. And then what happened was there was more Beis Shammai, and even though Beis Hillel did not agree to these 18 decrees, Beis Shammai held it, and those 18 decrees have become law forevermore. And the Gemara doesn't tell it to us straight away in one list. It's a number of lists. The Gemara says like this: the Shmoneh Esrei Davar Gozru. My Ninu, we're 8 lines from the bottom, approximately by the 2 dots. My Ninu, what are those Shmoneh Esrei Davar? What are those 18 things that they were going to do? Not. We're going to be discussing now Tum V'Tara. Whenever we come to Tum V'Tara, there's a very fundamental difference. You can write this down on your fridge. When we came to actually, we did it in other Masechtas. It's actually something which once a person gets used to, gets easy to remember. Whenever we say something is Tomei, there are 2 words we can use. We can use the word posel, and we can use the word Tomei. What is the difference between posel and Tomei? Oh, let's hear somebody speaking in. Who wants to shout in? What's the difference between posel and Tomei?
Posel means
Tomei can make something else Tomei, and posel can't go any further.
Oh, right. That is the famous law. You have to keep it in mind. Tomei means Now, if let's say, for example, I touch something and we pass and that thing becomes tummy, then not only is that thing forbidden, but if it touches something else, the next thing also becomes tummy. Tummy means it has become impure to the extent that the next thing is also impure. Possible just means that this thing is no good. But if that thing then touches something else, the next thing is okay. So now there's a list of things of poisonous atuma, things which don't make tuma tummy, because if they make it tummy, they'll make the next thing tummy. Rather, all they can do is passel the tuma. So now, very briefly, in chulin, you only have with a dead person is avia bois atuma, and after that you have a number of avatumas. What are avatumas? For example, somebody who touched a dead person, a zov is an avatuma, a dead sheretz is an avatuma. An avatuma that touches something else, that thing becomes a rishon tumah. That touches something else, that becomes a sheni. By chulin, there's no such thing as shlishi. So by chulin, if a sheni touches something, it is completely 100% pure. So if let's say I went to a levaya, so I am an avatuma, let's say I touch a dead person, and then I touch a cup, or let's say I touch a drink, and the drink then spills onto food. So the drink is a rishon, the food is a sheni. If that food then touches something else, it is fine. By truma, there's shlishi, and by hekdesh, there's revi. That means that by hekdesh, it goes all the way to 4 levels. By truma, it goes to 3 levels, and by chulin, it only goes to 2 levels. Well, it's going to be not going to be always easy to remember all the principles. Once a person gets used to the rules, then it's easier than to work further. So what? Oh, so let's do it again. We're going to have a list of things that passel truma, meaning that if a person, if these things, if they touch truma, the truma becomes possible. That means a man eats food which is a vishin l'tuma. So then what happens is he becomes a sheni l'tuma, and if he eats a sheni l'tuma, then, he eats, sorry, mistake. He eats a rishon l'tuma. So he becomes a sheni l'tuma. So now when he touches truma, the truma becomes possible. If a person eats food which is a sheni l'tuma. The more goes in length with each one in detail. If a person has a drink of water, a drink of something which is tummy, then if he touches truma after that, that truma is possible. Somebody who goes his head and most of his body in mayim she'uvin, water which has been drawn, water which is possible for the is what happened was on the day that a person went to mikvah. Things happened to me now. The day that a person went to mikvah, shortly afterwards, what he does is he then has a shower. So what happens is min haTorah, he's 100% Torah. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a shower. But midrabanon, he now, if he touches truma, the truma becomes possible. The toy shenoflu aroshoi v'ruboi shloisha lugin ma'im shuvin. And what happened was it fell on him 3 lug of drawn water. There's almost no difference in these last two examples. The only difference is like this. That one example we're talking about where he went to mikveh, and then shortly after he went to mikveh, he then had a shower. The other cases, we're talking about a normal person. Again, there's somebody on side of you. And then there's another person who, what happened was, he never had tumah before. And then what happened was, he decided to have a shower. So we've got 2 separate people. Somebody who went to mikveh, and shortly after he went to mikveh, he had a shower. And somebody else who was a normal day, never went to mikveh. Imagine you're 100% Torah. What happens is you decide to have a shower during the day, and then if you touch truma, the truma becomes possible, which is very chiddush. Why should that be? We'll discuss it all later. Then the hasefa, all sforim, and it's all sifrei Torah. If they touch truma, the truma becomes possible. Can you imagine you've got a sefer Torah, and you've got some produce which is truma, and the sefer Torah touches it, it becomes possible. You cannot eat the truma. By your dime, all hands. And it's even if you're 100% Torah, if your hands touch truma, the truma is forbidden to be eaten. But we had this in the first Mishnah in Brachas, is that if a kohen becomes Tomei, what does he do? He has to go to mikveh, and is he allowed to eat truma straight away? No.
To morning,
He has
no?
to wait. No, to have Shemesh. From the moment they come and eat Tumah, which is at night. So once they come at night to eat Tumah, that is a Tvul Yom. So somebody who went to mikvah that has not yet waited for Nacht, if he touches Tvuma, the Tvuma is possible. Va'ichlin on food, va'akelim on vessels, shenitmu b'mashkin that became tummy through liquids. We have a list of 10 things over here, that any one of these 10 things, if they touch Tvuma, the Tvuma is forbidden to be eaten, and you're not allowed to use it at all. It has to be completely burnt and got rid of. Let's go through very briefly the 10 things. Some do eat something which has got a tumah of a rishon. Some do eat something which has got a tumah of a sheni. Some do drinks mashkin which are tummy. Some do after going to mikveh goes into man shiurin. Somebody who didn't go to mikveh, but he had a shower. Somebody a sefer that touches truma, the hands that touch truma, a tvulyon that touches truma, or oichin and kelim that got tummy through liquid. They're all those 10 things. If they touch truma, then the truma becomes forbidden to be eaten. Says the Gemara, man tana, who's the tana? Who's the tana that holds that whether you eat a rishon or whether you eat a sheni, in both situations, the truma becomes possible, but not tummy. As we said before, tummy implies that what? That the truma not only is no good, but if the truma touches something else, the next thing becomes tummy. Possible implies that all that happens is that the tumah itself is possible, but the next stage is okay. Says the Gemara, on top of the Dalad, it's not. Here we have Machlokas Tanoim regarding what is the halacha of different stages of a person who eats something. A person who eats a rishon, he becomes a rishon. Some do eat a sheni, he becomes a sheni. Somebody eats a shlishi, he becomes a shlishi. So Rabbi Lezer is quite easy to understand. Wherever you eat, that's the level of tumah you have. The Gemara on the Chulin does go into great length to discuss all the different laws, why that is. But Rabbi Lezer's logic is pretty straightforward. Wherever you eat, that's the level of tumah you become. So if you eat a rishon, you become a rishon. If you eat a sheni, you become a sheni. If you eat a shlishi, you become a shlishi. You are what you eat. Rabbi Shiur here gets a bit more tricky. Whether you eat a rishon or a sheni, you become a sheni. Shlishi, if you become a shlishi, then sheni le kodesh and sheni le truma, then you become a sheni for kodesh, not a sheni for truma. This is a concept which is actually the last perk of Chagiga, and that is like this. Every person, when they watch over themselves to eat something betar, depending on the level of chayma of what they're worried about, is how careful they are. A kohen who's eating truma is not as careful as a kohen who eats korbanos. And the person who's eating chulin is certainly not as careful as someone who eats truma. So therefore, if I am, let's say, only a sheni by chulin, when it comes to truma, we are more machmir. Because we say, you're a sheni for chulin, but that's because in chulin you believe that you've only reached a sheni level. But for all you know, that had you been really, really careful, you'd have noticed that you're much worse. Maybe you're a rishon. So therefore, he says like this: if you eat a shlishi, then you become a sheni for hektash, but for truma you're nothing. You're completely torn. And then more explains, "B'chol nasu ataras truma." The halacha is you're not allowed to eat truma, which is torn. So how in the world can it possibly be that somebody's eating over here a shlishi? How can he be eating a shlishi? A shlishi is tummy. How can a blessed Rabbi Shua be arguing about somebody who ate a shlishi? What status does he have? He's not allowed to eat a shlishi by truma. The Gemara answers that if a person eats chulin with a level of, that means when a person's careful to eat chulin with the shmira as if he's eating truma, so then he gets the same level in truma as well. Just like you can create a shlishi in truma, chulin which is done al taras truma also reaches the level of a shlishi as well. So, Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Shua argue. Rabbi Lezer says if you eat a rishon, you rishon, sheni, sheni, shlishi, shlishi. Rabbi Shua says if you eat a rishon or a sheni, you become a sheni. If you eat a shlishi, you become a sheni for hektash and nothing for tumah. In the previous list we had, that somebody who eats a rishon and a sheni, what happens in both cases? It becomes possible and not tummy. Now, according to Rabbi Lezer, if a person eats a rishon, what happens? He becomes a rishon tumah. And a rishon tumah, if he touches tumah, not only does it become a posel, but the tumah will then become posel. So therefore, Avada will be more machmir. That is, that to Rabbi Lezer is being even more machmir than this list. In this list, we say that somebody the rishon becomes a rishon and then no more. It means he only passes the tumah. Here, according to Rabbi Lezer, a person who eats a rishon not only passes the tumah, he actually makes the tumah tamei complete. So the Gemara now verified that this Mishnah actually is Shittas Rabbi Yeshua, not Shittas Rabbi Lezer. According to Rabbi Lezer, if you eat a rishon, become a rishon. If you eat a sheni, according to Rabbi Yeshua, you always become a sheni regardless of what you eat. So now we've established that Rabbi Yeshua. Now we're going to understand. But what is it? It says the Gemara like this. Why did Chazal say that person becomes Tomei, and that if he then touches Truma, he becomes Tomei? The Zimnin, sometimes the Ochel Oichlin Tomei, person eats something which is Tomei, the Shokel Mashkin to Truma, the Shodi de Pumei, or Posilahu. Many times when the person eats, it is very, very common when the person's eating to start drinking at the same time. That's his normal, right? The person eating something might come to drink. Now, if we allow somebody who eats a sheni l'tumah to then drink, to be allowed to touch truma, what might he do? He may come to drink the truma. And if he drinks the truma, inside his mouth, the liquid of truma will become tomei from the food inside his mouth. Chazal were concerned as follows, that if a person comes to eat, let's say he's having, let's say, food which is a sheni l'tumah. How did it become a sheni l'tumah? Let's say there was a dead sheretz, and the dead sheretz touched some liquid and made the liquid into a rishon, and the liquid then got poured onto some food, and the food became a sheni. So now he eats the sheni fruit. After he's eaten it, he becomes a chayra shlishi. If he becomes a shlishi and then he touches truma, nothing more. He says, no, yes, there is something. What is something more? Because maybe instead of just waiting till he finishes eating the truma, he starts touching instead of waiting till he finishes eating the tumah, he touches the tumah. Maybe while he's eating, to wash it down, he takes some liquid of tumah and pours it down his mouth. The liquid of tumah will then touch the sheni of the tumah inside his mouth, and that will make him tummy. And therefore, we say that anybody who eats tumah is not allowed to touch tumah. The Chazal said anybody who eats anything which is tummy is not allowed to touch something which is not allowed to touch truma, because we are concerned that if he does, he may come to eat them together and then it will come to this. Shoysa mashkin tevei in ma'itama. Somebody who drinks tummy liquid, what's the reason? Ma'itama goes via bonon tumah. The zim the shosti mashkin. Sometimes you're having a drink. Exactly the same sword the other way around. If we allow somebody who drinks liquid which is tomei, maybe he'll come to eat food which is truma. That's exactly the same as before. It's much more common when you're eating to take a liquid to wash it down than when you're drinking to add a food to the drink. Most times, the way it goes is you're eating something and you take liquid to wash it down. Sometimes you're drinking something, and then to take away the taste of the drink or to enhance the taste of the drink, you eat something at the same time. Sometimes you have a l'chaim, so you take something to enhance the l'chaim. You have some peanuts or something to enhance the drink that you're having. So therefore, like this. Chazal felt the first gezerah was if you eat tamei, you may come to drink tumah at the same time and then end up being metama the tumah inside your mouth. So they said that if you eat tumah, you're forbidden to drink, you're forbidden to touch tumah altogether. And then they added another example that when you drink tumah, we're scared that after you drink it, you may come to start eating tumah. So therefore, we forbade you to touch tumah as well.
Isn't that a gzera and a gzera? Because the sheni l'tumah is that midaraisa?
Sheni l'tumah making shlishi the tumah is it deraisa? I'm sorry, I don't remember offhand. I did see this morning where they said deraisa to Rabbanon. But even if it would be, we'll see again and again. There's many gezeros over here, and the reason is when they established it as one gezer. That means they felt that without it, it won't work. They had to. But whether shlishi is deraisa, I saw this morning. I just don't remember. It slipped my mind. Vinay, if you mind me, look it up, send me a text or something, or Vinay, I'll try and remember. So far we've covered a few of the examples. We're discussing things which make a person, if he touches Truma, forbidden to touch. So if he does any of these things, he makes Truma Tomei, possible. And now we'll give another example. Somebody who comes, his head or most of the body in drawn water, meaning water which is possible for mikvah. My time goes to be abundant Truma. Why does Chazal make this gezerah? People were table in cave water, mechunasim, which was gathered and stagnant, which was dirty. After they would go to mikveh, the mikveh would be so dirty, they would always straight away rinse off. Right? That's what happened is the men, when they were tummy, the women, when they were tummy, would go to mikveh. And after they went to mikveh, they felt very smelly. And then what happened was the first thing they used to do was go for a shower. So what's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with a shower. But it became established that you always went for a shower. So goes alem to everybody who goes for a shower immediately after going to mikveh is tummy. My keva. What does it mean established? It's not the mikveh that makes it Torah. You need to do two things. In order to become Torah, because they got so used to the idea that the only way to be so used to going for a shower after mikveh, people started to believe that that's part of the Torah process. That in order to become Torah, you first have to go to mikveh, and only then, and go for a shower, and only after that, or you have to rinse yourself off, and then you become Torah. Says the Gemara, what do we care? Let people believe that. The Meister became Torah, and then people come to the mistake like this. Since every single time people go to mikveh, they would always rinse themselves off. So what happened was, they came to the conclusion that what really makes you toy is the rinsing off. And then what happened was, people got so used to it, they believed that in order to become toy, you don't need to go to mikveh. All you need to do is be rinsed. And that would be no good, because they're not toy at all. In order to stop that, what did they do? They said that anybody who goes for a shower after mikveh is tomei. And if a person goes to mikveh, it's forbidden to go for a shower. And therefore, he will not come to that mistake. And this is a big shaila. It's brought down in many places, Kafachaim and others, people of Erev Yom Kippur, which the chayim of going to mikveh on Erev Yom Kippur is quite high. This halacha does apply. Sometimes I say to a woman who wants to go to mikveh, she will go for a shower afterwards, etc. It does apply. For men, people more makeup. What about Erev Yom Kippur? The Kafachaim says that a man on Erev Yom Kippur, when he goes to mikveh, should not go to the shower afterwards. Because if he does, he'll be over this. Some folks can say that it's not. It's only by real tumah, not by this kind of thing. Okay. So let's go very briefly. Chazal decided that if we allow people to shower themselves off after mikveh, what will happen is they'll come to used to it so much, they'll believe that the only way to become Torah is only through the shower. They won't bother going to mikveh bichlal. So therefore they said that if going for a shower after mikveh makes you Torah. And then we've got another halacha. The Torah, and a Torah person should not flow in mind. That the fell on him 3 lug of water, shuvin. My time goes on the tumah. Here we'll not talk about somebody who just went to mikveh. We're talking about a normal person, not been tummy for weeks. And he decides he wants to go for a shower one night, one day, he wants to go for a shower. Suddenly becomes tummy just for going for a shower. So it says, they realized that people couldn't understand what's going on over here. They said like this. We went to mikveh, and then you told us that if we go for a shower afterwards, it's got over here. What's this? Oh, it doesn't matter, okay. Anyway, so come on twice.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. Let's just like this. They said as follows: if they say this, the Chazal needed to make it that if a person goes to mikveh and then afterwards goes for a shower, he should be tummy. Why? Because they wanted people not to get used to the habit of only going for a shower, not bothering going to mikveh altogether. Said the Gemara that once they made that gezerah, they realized that if they don't make it that every single person who goes to mikveh becomes tomei, then the other gezerah will become weakened. And therefore they said, in order to get the gezerah established, that after going to mikveh, if you go for a shower, you become tomei, they had to establish that anybody who goes for a shower is tomei. Because if they say that somebody who goes for a shower after mikveh is tummy, if somebody who goes for a shower normally is not tummy, then people come to don't understand what's going on with it, or say that there's something wrong. They will say, what's the difference between this one and this one? And since they won't understand it, they will stop the other one. So it comes out, halacha l'maisa, interesting halacha, this is how we pass it. Now, if you're 100% toy and you go for a shower, you're not allowed to eat it, you're not allowed to touch truma. If you touch truma, the truma becomes possible. Why? Because if we don't do that, then somebody after mikveh will go for a shower and then eventually get used to the idea that the whole idea that the shower is the main thing, and then eventually people will stop.
You'd have to be retired from this tumah. It's just a temporary tumah. Having a shower.
No,
Otherwise, every time you have a shower, you can never eat tumah.
Yes, you have to go to mikveh in order to eat the tumah.
See, every time you have a shower, so the kohenim could never have showers.
They couldn't have a shower and then eat tumah. They'd have to have a shower and then go to mikveh and then eat tumah. You can't go.
So they can never go to a shower stand or after mikveh. It will just have to be mikveh, then tumah.
That's right. Very good. Rashi says that since it's a lower tumah shower, therefore they don't have to eat for hair of shemesh. So if a kohen has, let's say, a shower during the day, and he wants to eat tumah, he doesn't have to wait for nacht. He just needs to go to mikveh and he can eat tumah straight away. Normally, if you become tummy, if that's a shower, you have to wait for nacht. This is a lower level tumah. So any time that kohen eats, has a shower, afterwards. Yes. The sefer, another halacha, that all spawn, means all sefer Torah, Megillas, etc. If it touches and comes in contact with truma, therefore what happens is the truma is forbidden to be eaten. My time goes to be able to truma. They would put away, they would hide the truma next to the sefer Torah. They would say, this truma is kodesh, the sefer Torah is kodesh, and therefore they wanted to have the kedusha next to each other, so they would put the sefer Torah next to the sphon. So they saw what happened was like this: that mice would come to eat the truma, and once they came to eat the truma, they would come to eat the sphon. Goes to be able to truma. That means originally people used to think to themselves like this: the sefer Torah is kodesh, the neviim is kodesh. What did they do? They would put the sefer Torah with their truma together in the same safe, in the same cupboard, to keep everything together. That's truma's kodesh, and the sefer Torah is kodesh. What happened was mice would come to eat the truma. Once they came to eat the truma, they'll come to eat the sefer kodesh, and therefore we didn't want that to happen. So they said that all sefer kodesh have truma. Since all sefer kodesh have truma, people can no longer put the sefer Torah with their truma, and therefore there's no problem. Vayadayim, all hands are tummy. They say Yadayim Askani is saying hands touch a lot of things. Since they touch a lot of things, therefore we're scared. So Rashi says it'll be like this. He said, my Rebbe's told me that since hands are touching all the time different things, it's very likely that they touch Tumah. He said, that's what my Rebbe's told me. Says Rashi, I don't like that pshat at all. Rashi says, I've got three big questions on this pshat. Again, the Gemara says that all hands, if they touch truma, the truma becomes possible. All hands. So you have to first wash your hands, and then you have to touch truma. If you don't wash your hands, the truma becomes possible. It says Rashi, the Gemara says, what's the reason? Because hands move around, they touch a very lot. So Rashi, my Rebbe's told me that the reason is because maybe they touch truma. Says Rashi, I have three questions on my Rebbe's. Anybody want to hazard a guess what the three questions are, or any of the questions are? Why does Rashi not like his Rebbe's pshat? That hands touch around very lot, maybe they touch a dead Shabbos.
You would have known about it.
Would have known about it. Not necessarily. If a person's touching all around, he might touch a dead reptile without being aware. Rashi says, if that's the case, then what should the halacha be for the truma? Not that it should be possible, but rather that the truma should be tommy. What's the Mishnah say earlier? That the truma is only possible, not tommy. And if a chish touches shell, it's mamish tommy. And furthermore, Rashi says, what's going to help to wash your hands? If you actually touch the sharets, you need to go to mikveh. And also, he says Rashi's got a few things. Other parts of the body become tummy. So Rashi says, no. The reason is like this. Hands get dirty very easily. Like we all know from this virus, they tell us again and again to wash our hands. Hands get dirty very easily. Since they get dirty very easily. So therefore, they didn't want truma, which is kadosh, to get ruined. They wanted people to have clean hands before they touch the truma. So they said that before you touch truma, it has to be washed. Your hands have to be washed. And nowadays, all our washing our hands, we said this before. Why do we wash our hands? Because when the Beis Mikdash will get built, because we want Kohanim to wash their hands, and we're scared that if Yisrael doesn't wash their hands, Kohanim doesn't wash their hands, and we want the Kohanim to get used to washing their hands, because we want them when the Beis Mikdash is built, they'll get used to washing their hands before Tumah. Tana, after Yadayim Abois Machmas Sefer, Poises is Tumah. Hands which touch the Sefer Torah make the Tumah possible. Somebody who touches Sefer Torah without a clothes, and he touches direct onto the Sefer Torah, Nikba Om. We buried without clothes. Om Sakadatoch. We buried without clothes. That means, so the Ravon says, the Gemara's question is, what kind of punishment is that? Everybody's buried. No, you buried Tachrichim. Okay, that's. The other Mephoshim explain is they should get such a severe punishment for doing such a small thing. He doesn't have any mitzvahs. Think of mitzvah sakadatoch. He shouldn't have any mitzvahs. And as Tosis explains the bottom Tosis, that what happens is like this: that if a person's holding on to a Sefer Torah to learn from it, or a person's holding on to a Sefer Torah to do Kelila, he loses the schar of that particular mitzvah because he did it with touch which he shouldn't have. So far we said three things which are quite similar. Hands make Tumah possible. A Sefer Torah makes Tumah possible. And now we said the third thing. The hands that touch a Sefer Torah also make it possible. It says, well, how goes the Beresha? Even the whole goes the Beresha, they made this observation, top of Yudalef on the base, that they said that all hands are Tomei. Kim Dach goes the Beresha, since all hands are Tomei, Hosulamali. What difference does it make? Elo, hach goes the Beresha. First they said hands that touch a Sefer Torah are Tomei. Or the goes the meaning, originally they said that all hands are Torah. The hand that touches a Sefer Torah, that hand, if it touches Tumah afterwards, becomes Tomei, makes the Tumah possible. Eventually they said all hands become possible. Not just the hands that touch a Sefer Torah, every single hand, if it touches Tumah, is possible. Says Tosis that it comes out the bottom of the top Tosis, the Yeshua, it comes out like this. That if, let's say, you wash your hands during a meal, then how long will your hands stay clean? Anybody know? How long do your hands stay clean when you wash your hands for a meal? As long as you don't switch off. What do you say? As long as you don't switch off. Says the Gemara, says Tosis, that if you wash your hands for Hamoitzi, and then you touch a Sefer Torah, you're going to have to wash your hands again. Because what happened was they made the gezerah that anybody who touches the Sefer Torah, his hands become tummy. And then afterwards they said all hands are tummy. But when they said all hands are tummy, they said, what can you do? Wash your hands be good enough. But if you touch the Sefer Torah, then they go back to the original gezerah and it's no good. Says well, Tvul Yoim. Says that the Tvul Yoim, if you touch the tummy, it's possible. Tvul Yoim deraisu dichsivu bo hashemesh v'toy. That only once the sun sets, then it's toy. And the Gemara in Yevamos explains. As referring to Tvuma, that if a person touches Tvuma, then it becomes Tvuma, then comes Tomik. As well, Sami Mekan Tvul Yoim, delete Tvul Yoim, meaning it is true that Tvul Yoim makes Tvuma possible, but it is not true that this is one of the 18 Gezeros, because it's a Mefosha Poskan, we learn it from the Torah. It's not a Dorabam, it's a Deraisa Tikadin. So therefore, since it's a Deraisa Tikadin, you have to delete it from the list. It's true, it's included in the list that it all makes the Tvuma possible, but it's not one of the list in the sense that it's not something which is exerted upon what is also in our Torah. Food that became tomei through liquid. Which kind of liquid? If the liquid touched a dead shark, let's say you've got a dead reptile, and the dead reptile touched wine, and this wine touched truma. So the dead reptile is what? Who wants to suggest? What is the status? What? Avatuma. The wine is a rishon. The truma is a tomei. It says it's there's no question about it. It is awesome. So that again, I made a mistake. It's a shlishi. Why is it a shlishi? I made a mistake. We talk about there was a sheretz. The liquid touched the sheretz, so the liquid is a rishon, and the food touched the liquid, and that touched the truma. So it's a shlishi. It's the rice. Oh, you can see up to shlishi. By the way, Shai, you can see Rashi says clearly. I know that. So look at Rashi the raisi. Shamashkin rishon v'oichel sheni poisa truma li shlishi. You see clearly that the shlishi is the rice by truma. Okay. Any liquid which is drunk, and the Pasuk tells us there the Torah is talking about if you've got an oven and dangling in the oven is a dead reptile, the whole oven becomes tummy, and any food in the oven also becomes tummy. So we see over there that where the food is tummy, and the pasuk says, "Asher yitmo," that makes other things tummy. The liquid that comes from yodayim, that if a person touches with his hands, which are not tummy at all, that what happens is like this. The pasuk says that sorry, we have lost my focus in a second. Okay, Chazal said before, we did up a new thing, the hands become tummy. If the hands touch a liquid, what status did the Chazal give the hands? They gave the status of a sheni, because if it touches truma, it makes the truma shlishi. If it touches liquid, and then the liquid touches food, then what happens is, then the food will make the truma tummy. The exerim shemashkin bo machmas sheretz is exerim because of liquid that touches sheretz. This is a very, very, very big chiddush. Yeah, if you don't mind, this is your cup, yes? Right. So here we're talking about, if you can see over here, I'm trying to hold it up. This is a very, very big chiddush. My hands, I'm completely torn. I'm completely torn. Midrabanan, they said that my hands are tummy because they don't want people to spoil the truma. What level did they give my hands? A sheni. And therefore, if I touch truma, it becomes a shlishi. If I touch liquid, let's say there would be wine in this cup and I touch it. And then this wine gets poured over food, and then this food goes and touches a piece of truma, the truma is possible. And that's a very, very chiddush. My hands are not even tummy at all in that term. They're 100% tummy. And therefore, we can look at my hands, the liquid should be either a shlishi or a vi. No. We say the liquid becomes a rishon, and that rishon makes the food which it touched a sheni, and it touches the truma, and the truma becomes a shlishi. The reason is because we're gozer for liquids that touched a sheretz. And the big question is, why are we so machmir by liquids? There are two main points we're so machmir by liquids. Rashi over here says one, the one says the other. We had this before, that for food to become tomei, you need it to go through a certain process. Anybody remember the process needs to go through? Right, it hasn't come moist, it has to get wet. If it doesn't get wet, liquids not. Since liquids don't have to go through that process, we are more machmir by liquids, that all liquids, that they get touched by anything which could make it tomei, they become tomei, rishon l'tumah. All liquids become a rishon. Another reason is because a zov, when we're going to see mamish in a few minutes, a zov, his liquid become tomei. His urine, his spit is all tummy. And the urine and the spit of a zov is a rishon l'tumah. Since we see there are liquids which are rishon l'tumah, Chazal was scared and made all liquids into a rishon l'tumah. So when we say in this Mishnah that they made exer d'abundance like this, if a hand touches liquid, the liquid becomes a rishon, and then the rishon touches food, that becomes a sheni, and if that food then touches truma, the truma becomes possible. So it says, "Kim ditvu mashkin demai." Which kinds of liquid? If a mashkin dissolve, the liquid of a zov device in it. That is zov spits. It makes everything toy. Mashabiyat toy to meisilacha. That which is in the hand of the toy makes it tummy. That it teaches it that even if you carry the spit of a zov without touching it, let's say, for example, a zov spits at a person and it lands on his clothes, and he doesn't touch it. He just walks around carrying the spit to become stomach. It's because of the liquid of a zov. So therefore, if you've got liquid that touched the sheretz, and the liquid then touched a keli, which minatera liquid cannot be metame keli. This is a very interesting thing. Why? Because there's exersa kosov that keli, all kelim, cannot become tomei through rishon l'tumah. All kelim can only become tomei from an av hatumah. So, for example, if let's say a sheretz touches food, and therefore the food is a rishon, and the rishon then touches kelim, min hatira the kelim are 100% tomei. But in Midrabanan they said that since that liquid that touched the sheretz, it's a liquid that comes from a zov, is tummy. Sorry, the liquid of the Zav is a big chiddush. The liquid of the Zav is actually an avatuma. I should put that. The Zav is an avatuma, and the liquid that comes from him is an avatuma. And since the liquids of a Zav can be metame kelim, so therefore they said the same thing, that the liquid of which touches sheretz is also can be metame kelim. That's what they said. And therefore, since it can be metame kelim, therefore, if it now touches truma, the truma becomes possible.
The keli will be a rishon or sheni.
The keli will be a sheni. That means the keli that touched liquid, that touched a sheretz, will become a sheni. Even though be'emes min hatera, the liquid that touched the sheretz, and then afterwards touched the keli, what's the din min hatera? Nothing. The keli is not tummy at all. Why not? Because the sheretz is an avatum. The liquid becomes a the Yodaim says the Gemara, Tabidei Shammai v'Hillel gozu, the Tabidei Shammai Hayim goes it. Shammai v'Hillel gozu. Why did we say earlier this is something which was made a gezer by Hillel the Shammai, the Tamidim of Hillel and Shammai that were in the loft? Shammai and Hillel themselves, the time the Yos ben Yosef stayed with Yisrael Shushaim gozu, Tuma and Eretz Haramim. They made all foreign lands out of it soul Tomei. The reason is, the Gemara says, we'll discuss a lot of this later. Like going when they bury the bodies, to not make it careful to make sure that the bodies, that the cemetery is clearly defined. Therefore, whenever you walk in chutz, you're choshesh that you're touching dead bodies. So anybody walking in chutz is not allowed to touch truma. And all glass kelim, the more explained also that it become tomei. Even though the Torah doesn't say that glass can become tomei, they say it can become tomei. Shimon Shodach tikkun ksuba leisha. That means ksuba, the etzem halacha that when one divorces one's wife and has to pay some money is min haTorah. But what used to happen is people used to set aside some money, and when they get into a bad mood, they say to the wives, "Take the money and go." So he made a new takana that whenever a person marries a woman, he has to promise that every bit of his property, every property that he owns, is meshubah to the ksuba of his wife. And there's no such thing as saying to his wife that only this particular money is for you and nothing else. The Goza Tuma Klei Matchas, and we'll explain this later, he made metal kelim tomei. Shamavila goes to Tuma Yadayim. They made a gzei on the Yadayim. So how can you say that earlier that the Tamidu Shamavila did it? Shamavila themselves did it. Vichitem Shamav Siyata V'Hila V'Siyata.
Oh, he's come back, I think.
Back on.
There we go.
David, he's back.
Oh, square.
Come back, guys. Come back.
Welcome back.
Right. The Gemara says like this: if you're going to say Shaman and Hillel argued, and the Talmidim, they all these 18 halachas which we just said, Shaman and Hillel argued about all 18. In the Hillel and Shaman, the Nechlikol B'Shloshim becomes they only argued about 3 things. One of the B'Shloshim becomes Nechlikol B'Suroi. They only argued about 3 and no more. The Chitim, and if you're going to say also in the Gazul Litkos, that Shaman and Hillel they said that any hands, if they touch truma, the truma becomes tolu, meaning that you're not allowed to burn it, you're not allowed to eat it. Also, Tamidayu because of this sefer, they said you have to also burn it. The beginning of the gzeir was that it should be burned and not to be kept. And also in the goes of the Kiblumenayu, they made a gzeir, they never accepted it. Also, Tamidayu goes of the Kiblumenayu, they accepted it. When the Gemara by Kati Shlomo goes, Shlomo Melech was going to do my video, my Shmo, B'Shosh Tik and Shlomo Eruv in the Tilasidayim, and he was the second halachas of Eruv in the Tilasidayim. Yotzos Baskel V'Omo B'Nim Chocham Libcho Yismach Libi Gamoni, my heart should be happy as well. Cham B'Nim Yismach Libi V'Shiva Choyufri Dovo. That by you becoming wise, I'll be able to answer, reply to those who curse me, to those who disgrace me. And it's more also top of Tesson Dalef. Also Shlomo goes at the Kodshim. He made a gzeir that hands are Tomei only for Kodshim. Well, Sinu goes after Truma, they made a goz that even Truma. So briefly, it was a 3-stage Gezeir. Shlomo Melech said only Kodshim also. And by Truma, hands are okay. Shammai and Hillel came along and they said that even for Truma, it's his goz. And nobody listened to them. And then finally, the Talmidim came along and then it was accepted. Oh, I just want to say one point. We have no idea what we're supposed to be doing about this. Nobody could be 100% sure about this virus, what's the right thing, the wrong thing. There's one small marshal, Shimshon Pinkas was very fond of saying it. Well, it's
coronavirus.
the virus. One of the Rishonim he used to say as follows. He said there was once a Talmud Chacham that went to a very wealthy person's house, knocks on the door. Very wealthy person sees him, says, I know what you want money, how much, what are you coming for, etc. No, I'm not coming for money, I just want to talk to you. He says, I've had this game so many times before, I'm not interested, just tell me and I'll give you a check. No, I just want to talk. Okay. They talk, have a nice chat, talk Torah, hashkafa, chochma. As he's leaving, he's sure he's going to ask him for money. No, doesn't ask for money. He says, nice talking to you, and he leaves. Comes back to him a short time later. He says, nice, he's going to ask me for double. No. He says, he talks to him, and they become closer, and so forth and so forth. Every time the wealthy person expects, eventually he sees them become very close. And every time the wealthy person's got a question, he calls up his Talmid Chacham friend to ask him his advice, and invites each other to other's simchas and celebrations together, and become very, very close friends. One day the Talmid Chacham needs a big donation because his married off a daughter's got nothing. And this wealthy, very wealthy person gives him more money than he would have ever got by asking. Without even asking, he gives him a huge donation because now they become close friends. He says people feel during the week that they daven for this, they daven for that, they daven for health, they daven for Panosa. Comes Shabbos, we don't really daven for things. We spend the time on Shabbos thinking about Hashem, etc. Don't ask for anything. And because of that, they think that on Shabbos, you get less. He says on the contrary. On Shabbos, we become best friends with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Without even asking, Hashem gives us 100 times more than He gives to those who ask. It's all a mashal. Like if you were to become the best friend of a wealthy person, He'll end up giving you 100 times more than He would give to somebody who comes collecting by him, etc. And I think that if a person is able to, the entire Shabbos to go through, we had before the Gemara, that with difficulty they were permitted people to even be menachem avelim or b'kochenim on Shabbos. If a person can go through the entire Shabbos not discussing, unless something's practical and needs to discuss something for practical purposes. But most times on Shabbos, there's almost nothing you can do about it. And all it's a matter of just finding out more and more news. A person can spend the Shabbos saying to himself, this Shabbos, it's Mekir HaBracha. I'm sure we say that the oil Torah stick away from us, all other oil and everything else. Mr. Hashem, look forward to seeing you all. 8:30. There's a few kinks about all this, but eventually Mr. Hashem will get sorted out. It should still be on Kol HaLashon. And I appreciate everybody for joining in. It's a very big chizuk for me and also for those who helped set up, etc. Have a very, very, very good Shabbos. Let's start with everything.
Shabbos.
Hello, any questions? Any discussions?
No.
No.
Tonight was tomorrow's daf.
Tomorrow's daf. So we'll start 8:30 on top of this Mudalev.
Where are we starting, sorry? Tomorrow.
This Mudalev Gufa, 1.5 lines down on Shabbos, Motzei Shabbos 8:30.
Oh, we're carrying on from here.
Yeah.
And tomorrow?
No, this was tomorrow's daf.
There's no shirt tomorrow. There's no shirt tomorrow.
No shirt tomorrow? Okay.
That's not.
Koyach.